want to welcome you to Trillionaire Thursday. I want you to stop everything you're doing. Did you hear what I said? I want you to stop everything you're doing because your life is getting ready to get a whole lot better. Something good is getting ready to happen for you. Truly, this is the day the Lord has made. We all have a reason to rejoice. Now, in particular, why are we rejoicing, Pastor Lemons? We are rejoicing because it is Trillionaire Thursday, and we're going to be talking about how to take your life financially to the next level. On the behalf of our senior pastor, Dr. Jamal Bryant, thanks so much for joining. Now, I want you to be a sharer, because those who share are the ones who care. I want you to text someone. I want you to call someone. I want you to start a watch party, because in the next few moments, you are going to receive some resources and some tools to take you from glory to glory, from faith to faith, from better investment to better investment. Is there anyone in the chat that wants God to add a couple of zeros to your life? Huh? I know that's you. If it's you, just say, that's me, Lord. That's me. That's me. Well, right now, I want you to grab pen and paper. I want you to grab a writing instrument. I want you to get your phone and pull up the notes. I want you to get a marker. Matter of fact, get your eyeliner. Whatever you have to do, I want you to get something to take copious notes, because this is getting ready to change, challenge, and encourage you to do all that God wants you to do. We are excited tonight. We are honored tonight because we have none other than Ernestine Morrison, who is with us. She is an actress, a poet, an entrepreneur, a CEO of the Green Lit ATL, as well as the co-founder of the Legacy Center. And can I also tell you, she is a newly mother, man, and she juggles it with such grace. I promise you, if you are wanting to learn more on the mentality of how to be a financial winner, you need to stay locked. You need to stay loaded, because it's about to get good. I know for sure that you're getting ready to be blessed. Ernestine, we are honored to have you. Thank you so much for taking time with us to share your intellectual capital so that we can have a better life in the earth. I promise you, the Bible says it this way, that he came that we may have life, and life more abundantly. She's going to tell to us about how to get that more. Ernestine, we're glad to have you. You can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Pastor Kailis, and super big thank you to Pastor Bryant for having me a part of Trillionaire Thursdays. I'm super excited. Thank you to the entire New Birth family for having me. My name is Ernestine Johnson-Morrison. I'm an actress, I'm a poet, I'm an entrepreneur, but more importantly, I'm a wife and a mother. And as I think about trillionaires and millionaires and billionaires and currency and financial literacy, and in this season where everyone speaks about getting to the bag, I think about getting to the heart posture. I think about getting to the mindset and the mentality in which we have to have with ourselves first before we can even have a conversation about money, about finance goals, about career goals. It is my belief that we cannot nation build until we can community build. And we cannot community build until we can relationship build. And that relationship starts between you and God, you and your spouse, and most importantly, you and your mindset. So I'm from Los Angeles, California. I was a track star, grew up running track, had really, really big dreams of going to the Olympics and being an actress and being a speaker. And that's exactly what I did. But it was only because of my mindset. It was only because of me preparing and training my mind to have these big goals and big dreams and big aspirations that I was able to accomplish even a fraction of the things that I set out for my life. I operate from my acronym CROWN. And we live in this world now where we greet each other king and queen, and I love that. Let's continue to edify each other. But my acronym for CROWN, a crown is an accessory that you don't just wake up with. It doesn't just magically appear. The crown has to be built. My acronym for CROWN is confidence, resilience, optimism, willpower, and non-negotiables. I want you to write that down. When you think about the word confidence, confidence means to be certain of something that you believe to be true, right? When you think about resilience, resilience is to be bended, to be broken, to be stretched, but being able to bounce back. When you think about optimism, it's having that positive mindset that even when you see a problem, you can find the good in it. When you think about willpower, It's an unburning desire. It burns, it hurts. I feel it in my stomach. When I think about my financial goals, my personal goals, my family goals, my goals for my community, it hurts. I feel it in my stomach. It's a tangible feeling. When you think about the N in the crown, which is the most important part of the crown, the non-negotiables, it is setting boundaries with people, places, and things that do not serve you, that do not serve God's purpose for your life. That is how we operate. That is how I operate. That is how I live from the crown. And that is how I'm able to reach my spiritual goals, my emotional goals, my mental goals, in order for me to reach and in order for us to reach our financial goals, right? And we live in this space where everybody talks about getting the bag and getting to the bag and getting to the millions and riding on the yachts and the private jets and having the bags and the glitz and the glam. And that's great. But how are you getting there? What is your mentality? How are you pouring into you? How are you preparing yourself for those things? If I put $1 million in your hand right now, if I put $1 trillion in your hand right now, how would you operate? How would you use it? What strategies would you use? Have you rid yourself of shame, doubt, guilt, fear, all of those things that would hold you back from even being productive with $1 trillion? That's a real question I want you to ask yourself. Because in order for us to reach those financial goals, we have to work on here first. One of my mentors said, every single last one of our problems, the solution to all of our problems is right here. And he did this. And that opened up the world for me, because I said, if I want to get anything done with my life, if you want to get anything done with your life, you have to operate here first. We have to rid ourselves, right? So I'll open up and say this. I was molested for 10 years. I was born with crack in my system to a mother who was addicted to drugs. Thank God she is now 16 years clean and sober. But I lived my life for the first 30 years with guilt and shame and trauma and pain and doubt and fear and guilt. And all of that could have held me back from my financial goals, from my personal goals, from my mentality goals, right? And a lot of us are walking around with baggage, big baggage. The other day I was in a coaching session and I had the girls in my class hold up buckets of water, and I had them walk around the class and introduce themselves with these buckets of water, because it represented all the baggage that we are carrying around. And we can talk a big talk and talk a good game and say all these things we want, these big dreams, these big aspirations, these big bank accounts that we want. But are we willing to do the self-work to rid ourselves of those buckets of water? Are we willing to do the self-work to face all of our shame and our doubt and say, yes, this happened to me, this happened to me. Mommy wasn't there, daddy wasn't there. I have abandonment issues, I have divorce issues, but I'm going to rid myself of all of that so I can walk into who God has called me to be. Are we willing to do that work first? Because it's cute and it's attractive to talk about trillionaires and millionaires and billionaires, and it's attractive to talk about the private jets and the yachts and all of these monetary things that we want. That's all cute. And it's fun and it's attractive. But what's not attractive is to talk about that shame and doubt and guilt and fear and how we're going to rid ourselves of that. How we're going to truly walk into our crowns, our confidence, our resilience, our optimism, our willpower, and setting non-negotiables in order for us to get to the bag, in order for us to get to the trillions. So I am constantly self-evaluating myself. And when I teach, and I'm specifically speaking to the women today, when I speak to women, let me tell you something my mother told me. She said a woman should always have two things: her finances in order and a good reputation. And when she told me that as a little girl, I didn't quite understand what that meant. But now in my 30s, I understand what that means, to have your finances in order as a woman. Listen, I was doing an audition one time, and I had to do all this studying and study all these stats. And at that time, I learned that the average median net worth of Black women was $500. I'll never forget. I was sitting in LAX airport waiting on my flight. And I read this stat and I said, $500? I'm standing on $1,000 shoes right now. I'm counting the weaves around me in LAX. I'm counting over $20,000 worth of hair weave. Because ladies, you know we keep our hair done. We keep our nails done. We keep our feet done. But our average median net worth was $500. And that didn't sit right with me. But as I looked around and counted the designer shoes and bags and belts and hair around me, I said, we obviously have a strategy issue. And we have a strategy issue stemming for our mentality issue. how are we thinking about money? How are we thinking about finances? Are we putting how we look before our legacy? Are we putting how we look before our children and our children's children? And my mind just opened up at that very moment. As I stood on my designer shoes and read the statistic of the average median net worth of black women being $500, I said, something has to change, and it has to be my mentality. And God said to me, Ernestine, you have the gift of poetry. You have the gift of speech. I need you to talk about this. So when I landed back in Atlanta, I met with some mentors who were in real estate. I'll never forget, her name was Letitia Robb, and she said, real estate is one of the biggest wealth building tools. But you have to want to even have those conversations before you can get there. And when she said, you have to want to have those conversations, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm here. But then I looked at my belt, and I looked at my bag, and I looked at my shoes, and I said, oh, my mentality has to change. I have to be confident enough to say that nothing else matters right now but me building my legacy and changing the trajectory of the finances of black women, women who look just like me, talk like me, and walk like me. I have to be resilient enough to know that in this process, I may be bended, broken, and stretched, but I'm going to be able to bounce back. I have to think optimistically about money, that even though I don't have it right now, but I will get it. I had to have the willpower, that undying desire to go out and put my strategy together and put my plan together and make it happen. I had to use the N in my crown, the non-negotiables, and set boundaries with people, places, and things in order for me to reach these financial goals. It was all a mindset. It was all living in here. And when I learned that, I said, I've got to tell everybody I know. I have to let women, and particularly black women, I have to let them know how we get to the trillions, how we get to the billions, to the millions, how we get all those tangible things that we want is all right in here. So I started my journey. I purchased my first real estate, my first piece of real estate before I was 30 years old. I purchased an investment property in Bankhead. And I had these big dreams, and I'm going to have tenants in, and I'm going to have residual income, and I'm going to have monthly cash flow coming in. And I had no strategy. I had no coach. It was a real estate deal that completely flopped. But in the meantime, during this whole process of failing in this real estate deal, because I had no clear strategy, I didn't have the right mentality first to be able to attack this deal with smarts and intelligentsia, it was preparing me for what was to come next. Everything in our life is preparing us for what's to come next. When I think about that little girl who was running track at 12 years old all the way through college and doing 400 repeats and reps, 100 repeats, I realized that was preparing me, it was training my mind. That repetition was training my mind. I realized as an actress when I moved here in 2011 and got in that acting class and was reading cold read scripts every week, I realized that repetition was training my mind. It was preparing me. It was preparing me to be prepared to walk into financial glory. It was preparing me to be prepared to have a mentality that was on a trillion. But I realized, especially as women, in order for us to attack these things, that we have to rid ourselves of all of that icky stuff and all of that old mindset that we were trained. We have to unlearn all of that ickiness before we can move forward. That is how I approach money. That is how I approach business. That is how I approach entrepreneurship. From wearing my crown truly and fully with conviction and boldness, wearing my crown. I started my first business at the age of 23. I was a sales associate for Neiman Marcus. I'm making a nice little buck at Neiman Marcus. I'm having celebrity clients and influential clients and people coming in and out, and I'm building this amazing clientele. And I'm like, one day I said to myself, if I have everything that it takes that prepared me to get in this position now where I'm one of the top associates at Neiman Marcus, I can do this on my own. Instead of making some other company all this money, I can create my own company and make the same amount of money. But it was a mindset shift. Had I not been prepared and rid myself of all the blockages that stopped me from even thinking that way, I would have never had this magical thought. So at 23 years old, I prepared myself to start my first business and get into entrepreneurship. And I go back to that line where my mom gave me. She said, a woman should always have her own finances in order. So I started prepping and studying and honing. I said, what can I do in order for me to make the same amount of money and maybe more without this company? I've built all these amazing relationships. I'm working with people like Kevin Hart and Floyd Mayweather and Von Miller and Demaryius Thomas and all Julio Jones and Roddy White, all these amazing people that I've met at Neiman Marcus. I put my plan in action. I said, I'm a woman, I'm strong, I'm smart enough, I'm confident enough, I'm resilient enough, I have an optimistic mindset, I have the willpower to do this. I'm setting clear non-negotiables with people, places, and things in order for me to achieve my goals. My mindset is right. I'm clear on the objective. So I called my clients and I said, hey, if I quit Neiman Marcus, if I quit this job, would you still shop with me if I created my own company? And they said yes. We've built a rapport with you. We built a relationship with you. We've built the trust with you. Absolutely. So I quit my job, put my 2 weeks notice in, and I felt so proud. Now I'm personal shopping. I'm building a rapport with all these different stores in Atlanta and all across the country. I'm getting amazing items, high-ticket items for my clients, and I'm doing it. I feel like I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businesswoman. But my mindset still wasn't there. I'll never forget, Kevin Hart said to me, he said, Ern, I'm going to support your business. He said, but what is your business? He said, right now you have a hustle. He said, what is the name of your company? Where's my invoice? Where's my receipt? Where's an itemized list of the things that you've purchased? And I was like, wow, I thought I had a business. Mindset still wasn't there. I thought I had a business. He said, what? He said, you don't have an LLC? I said, what's an LLC? But me having that gumption and that willpower and just wanting to win, I went home that night, I Googled, what's an LLC? An LLC is how you incorporate your company, how you incorporate your business, how you change from having a hustle to a real legitimized business. Women, we have to legitimize our businesses. Sometimes we're afraid to do that, whether we're speakers or entrepreneurs or artists or we do hair or we sell clothes. Sometimes we're afraid to step out of that hustle ship and really step into entrepreneurship and legitimize our business. So I got my first LLC, Selfish Swank LLC. Now I'm feeling like I'm a businesswoman now. Sending my clients their invoices, their itemized list. Got my little business card made. I'm on. I am operating as a full businesswoman, right? And it all just came to me like, wow, this whole time God was preparing me and preparing my mindset and the track meets and the acting scripts and all the repetition and having that like undying desire to win was all part of building my crown. Now to fast forward, I am the CEO of multiple companies and partners in multiple companies, serving as the CEO of Greenlit ATL, which is a media company here in Atlanta, Georgia, where we fund films, we create films, we produce films. Being the co-founder of the Legacy Center, a 30,000 square foot commercial real estate building here in East Point, Georgia, that serves as a co-working space, private leasing offices, and a media space. Being a partner in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund with my husband, Jay Morrison. Tulsa Real Estate Fund is the first Black-owned real estate crowd fund in the nation, where we raised $11 million between 15,000 partners, made 15,000 Black and brown people who look like us real estate owners and equity partners overnight. But it was all because I changed my mindset. We can't just have conversations about money. I think Pastor Khalees earlier said, we don't want to be broke. Well, I say, yes, we don't want to be broke, but we also don't want to be broken. Operating in that brokenness is what stops us from being the best version of ourselves, the highest version of ourselves. When you rid yourself of that brokenness, you can be the best CEO, the best entrepreneur, the best wife, the best mother, the best partner, the best sister. When you break yourself of all those chains of fear and doubt and guilt and shame, all that stuff that's telling you can't be a business owner, all that stuff is telling that you can't legitimize it, all that stuff that's telling you you can't be your highest self, you can't operate at your highest frequency, all of that stuff has to be broken first before we can even have the conversation about money. Because like I said earlier, if I put $1 million in your hand, would you know what to do with it? Would you know how to keep it? Would you know how to pass it down? Would you know the people who you passed it down to, would they know how to pass it down because of your strategy? Would you know these things? And being that the average median net worth of Black women is $500, I would think not. So I would encourage us to not just want money, to not just want finances, but to want the mindset to keep money and to pass down money. That is how we're going to build generational wealth, not just for us and our families in this time, but for your children's 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 children. That's what we have to work for. As a people, we have been behind, centuries behind. There are no more excuses to not have the mindset on how to deal with money, how to grow money, and how to pass money. There are no more excuses. But like I said earlier, everything starts here. All of the answers to all of your problems start here. Are you reading about money? Are you studying about money? Are you reading about yourself? Do you know what makes you angry, what makes you mad? Do you know the things that you need to work on to be the best version of you? Are you working out? Are you drinking water? Are you eating right? Are you reading? Are you putting yourself in position so when someone says, you know what, that $1 million is right here. That $1 trillion is right here. Are you preparing yourself? Doing the repetition, creating the daily habits. Are you preparing yourself, your heart posture, and your mentality for the finance? Talking finance, talking get in the bag, talking that big talk is all cute. But the deeper conversation, the bigger conversation is what are you doing right here first to prepare yourself for all of that? I want us to start truly operating from our crown. Confidence, resilience, optimism, willpower, and setting clear non-negotiables with people, places, and things. Anything that is on your path that is not serving God's purpose for your life, that is not serving your most elevated self, that is not serving the highest frequency in you, rid yourself of it. I'll never forget one of the most powerful prayers I ever prayed. It was the night before my 30th birthday. I was 29 years old. And I knew everything that I wanted was just right here in arm's reach. The dream car, the dream house, the dream husband, the dream financial situation. I knew it was all right there. But it was all these things holding me back. Childhood trauma, fear, doubt, shame, guilt, not operating from a confident mindset. All that stuff was holding me back. And I prayed this single prayer. I said, God, please rid me of people, places, and things that do not serve me. And I kid you not, I woke up at 30 years old, a new woman. That same year, I met my husband. That same year, I started my second company. That same year, I did the research to get more properties under my belt. Mindset shift. So we can talk trillions and we can talk billions, but let's talk about trillions in our mindset, billions in our heart posture. I'm Ernestine Johnson-Morrison, and thank you guys for having me.
Wow, I know you were blessed. I know you were enriched. I know you received the resources and the tools to help change and add value to your life. The truth is that any investment always reaps a positive return. And the truth is when you make an investment, it may leave your hand, but it'll never leave your life. What you receive today is going to bless your life 1,000-fold. The Bible says it this way: I pray that God make you 1,000 times greater. From the information that you received in this moment, I pray that God makes you 1,000 times wiser, 1,000 times stronger, 1,000 times more influenced and inspired to make the right investments, the right choices, so that God can fulfill His purpose for your life. Will you do me a favor in this moment? Would you consider in your heart on making the investment into this ministry so that we can continue to fulfill the gospel of Jesus Christ? Now, I'm not going to ask you to give any particular amount, but whatever it is that is led on your heart, why don't you do that now? Our giving prompts are right below. I promise you, you are sowing into good ground, and this ground always reaps a harvest. And as you sow into this house, I want you to imagine God sowing into your business, God bringing down the rate of that home. I want you to believe that God is opening up connections for you to do what it is that you feel that He's called you to do. Why don't you do it now? Some are saying, I'm going to sow a seed of $100. Some are saying, I'm going to sow a seed of $50. Some are saying, I don't have that, but I'm going to give the best that I have. It's not equal giving, it's equal sacrifice. I want you in this moment to make the decision to sow into yourself. So I know that I was blessed. I know that you were blessed. So stay tuned, because next Thursday we're going to be right back in this same space at this same time, doing more financial literacy so we can win in every area of our life. Will you meet us next week? It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. The guests are amazing, as you can see. Was not Ernestine Morrison on fire? Listen, show her some love. Follow her on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever, LinkedIn, whatever social media platforms that she may have, Facebook, so that you can continue in the journey, receive her curriculum, and add more value to your life. Thanks so much for watching. And on the behalf of Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, we're so glad that you spent this moment with us. Be blessed.